First belt exhaust snorkel had some melting issues. Never caused us a leak, but it smelled terrible and was going to melt through it eventually. So I did this on the new one. It's just heat tape from Advanced Auto Parts. It should keep me from having any of these issues. Yeah, so recommend doing that. Unsatisfactory amount of mud in my airbox and belt housing, so I decided to raise the snorkels up and bring them in. The problem was when I put the wider tires, they were throwing mud right into the vent. So yeah, so here's how I did it. You can look in here and kind of see what's going on a little bit. So yeah, in there, it comes out of the airbox, goes into a elbow, and then there's a rubber adapter on each end of the elbow straight into the pipe. Pipe sits in there, zip tied to the roll bar. I also cut off those hideous mounts that hang under the roll bar because they were in the way of the snorkels a little bit. I really could have left them, but I just think they're ugly. And then in here, you've got 3-inch 45 street, and do another 3-inch 45 street. Trim the top of that down a little bit. 3-inch pipes and elbow, fits right under the roll cage very nicely. And this is kind of the same way I did it before, except now I use a vent elbow here to keep it farther away. So the seats come out to about here, so now you won't even notice this as a driver or passenger. And then a 45 up to an elbow. And the bends inside there are actually kind of complicated, but they look just like this. So I can show you this piece. That's where the exhaust melted the other one, but 45, little spacer. And then now instead of a big elbow here, it's just a vent 90, so this is just a little longer. But yeah, pretty simple, and I kept 3-inch piping no matter how ugly it is for the belt, because I know that belt needs lots of cooling. So yeah, should work pretty well. And with them being farther in the bed, not a whole lot of mud gets thrown up right there, so should have less problems with contamination. Put a new air filter and everything, so should be good to go. GTG. Just got finished up with the Razor. It's 99% done as far as all the stuff I wanted to do when I bought it. It's got the portals. I did a suspension lift, which is just spacers. Got me about 2.5 inches in the front, in the back, the way I have it adjusted now with the clickers. I could get 3 inches out of it pretty easily. It's got the 27% gear reduction in the transmission out of the Polaris 325 Ace. Called the Ace reduction. And it's got a Gates belt. Haven't done anything with the clutching yet. 9.5 by 16 TR171. That's the wide TR171 deep treads. And they're about 33.5 inches tall on the wheels I'm on. And ran my snorkels up higher because my airbox getting a little dirty. They look a little goofy. I'll probably redo them eventually. But I got the engine one up significantly higher because it's small enough to go behind the seat. And then the exhaust or belted intake and exhaust is still 3 inches. But got them up pretty high. So should be about chest deep for it to start wearing. Everything on it works pretty good so far. Really happy with it. Haven't had too many issues. What I was doing today with the snorkels, I already made a little video on that. It was pretty easy. See how I got the snorkel right here to where it's not in the way of the seats at all. Your arm, when you shift, your elbow comes right here. But with it back that far, it works fine. Tucks in there pretty good. Also, when I was putting it together, I did the front spring spacers. Very easy to install. I got my clickers on the number 2 setting in the front and the softest setting in the back. The winch was rubbing the A-arm right here, so I grinded it down a little bit and painted it and grinded that bolt, so that shouldn't be a problem, especially not the spring spacers. But the spring spacers really woke it up. It was sagging a lot. Now you actually have some angle on your CVs. This ground isn't really flat, but 24.5 inches of ground clearance in the front, and that might be a little low. Because I measured it on, I measured it with a bunch of tools and stuff in the bed, so it might have been sagging some. And 22 inches of ground clearance in the back. That's about all you really need with the TR171 wides. And it turns these tires like nothing. I mean, it turns them like it turned the stock tires with the double gear reduction, essentially. 40% in the wheel, 27% in the transmission. So it's geared 67% lower than stock. And I mean, it's just a monster. Being with it's a 900 with those gears, it's super snappy. I've also kept it very narrow. You can see the wheels really don't stick out that far. You look at the back wheel there. That's looking pretty much straight down the side of it. You see, so right there. So I added about 2.5 inches to each side, so it's about as wide as the 55-inch Razor now, except that it's got 6.5, 7 inches of lift, and it's on tractor tires, so Kept both the sway bars. I thought about deleting them because I think sway bars are stupid, but being that it's so high and narrow, I figured it'll let me, you know, ride a little harder and not worry about flipping as much. So left the sway bars. But yeah, really happy with how it turned out. Looks great. Sum total of money I have in it. Paid $13,500 for the razor, $3,000 for the portals. The gear reduction was $200. Lift kit was $10. Belt was like, I don't know, $40. Snorkels. The 3-inch PVC is kind of expensive. Probably have like $50-$60 in the snorkels, but really, you know, not a ridiculous amount of money in this thing. Still less than you would have if you bought the Highlifter edition. So, I mean, this will kick the shit out of the Highlifter edition. It's geared lower. It's got much bigger, better tires, and it's narrower and lighter and shorter wheelbase. So, pretty good deal. If you can do the work yourself, like pull the transmission and split it, probably the baddest little mud buggy you can build for the money. The ground clearance is sick. And now we got to see how it compares to the Lexus. Lexus is on 37s, but, you know, we'll see.